Danning has always done things the right way. When we first met Danning, she was this beautiful, healthy, screaming little bundle of joy. Her caregivers in that hotel, April 5th, 2001, her caregivers handed her over to us like, oh, here you go. But she didn't know what was going on, but she knew that we didn't look right, we didn't sound right, probably not even smell right. But thankfully we had Jay, her brother, our son, there he is, along with us. And they loved each other right from the beginning. And I have no doubt that because of Jay, she decided, hey, being part of our little family was the right way to go. But we still needed to visit the orphanage where she had lived her first year. As I carried her into the orphanage, I carried her in that baby Bjorn, whatever they call it. We walked in there and all of her former caregivers, they flocked around us. They were like, Dan, 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 Dan. You're obviously a very popular baby. But I'll never forget what happened. She looked at me with confusion in her eyes. She looked at the caregivers, and then she buried her face in my shoulder. And we knew then you decided that was the right thing to do. As you grew, we got to see and appreciate your leadership qualities. You always know the right thing to do, and you do it. But you do it with compassion for other people. Isn't that Danning? Danning, you have such a wonderful, soft heart. You get that, obviously, from Mom. But I love that heart. You want to help people. I remember one time, I don't know if you remember this, after volunteering in the church nursery one Sunday, Danning asked me, she said, Dad, why do all the little kids like me? Do you remember that?
No.
No. Really happened. I said, sweetie, that's because you actually talk to them and play with them. And she did. She's been on mission trips to Buffalo, Nicaragua, Jordan, together with her friend in high school, Charlie. She started a club, Friendship Without Borders, that was intentionally so that they could bring immigrant teens into the fold and help them to feel more at home at this foreign high school where they were. Sometimes parents talk about, like, what should we pray for our kids? Because we all want to pray for our kids, right? And the thing that we have always prayed for the most is that God would put around them good people, good friends that would help them to grow as Christians and really help them to live out their Christian calling. And I mean, I just look around, you know, Emma, Jesse, Hallie, I could name so many, Victoria and Lindsay. I can't name you all, I'm afraid. But you all, we didn't know it at the time, but you all are exactly what we were praying for the whole time. And I am very thankful for every single one of you. And the thing is, not just friends who were just like her. Especially when she was in high school, Danning had a lot of friends that had the same kinds of values as we have. And some that didn't. But you know what? They were all good kids. And we came to love and appreciate every single one of them. Danning has always picked her friends the right way. And then came Jacob. One Christmas break, I drove down to UVA here to pick up Danning to take her home. And so in the car, she says, So, Dad, so there's this boy, Jacob. Now, we've come to love and appreciate Jacob. We really have. I mean, really, he obviously loves her so much. Going to help her to grow as a Christian. Going to take care of her. I'm convinced the kid's going to be the next real estate millionaire. No doubt.
Next to your son.
Next to her son. Yeah, so two of them together. And most importantly, he has the same strong Christian faith and the same convictions that she does. And I have no doubt that his parents, Peter and Joanne, had just a little bit to do with that. But at the time, in that car, what I thought of was what my friend Jim Webb, where is Jim Webb? There he is. I don't know if you remember telling me this. We were in Starbucks, and there was a boy who wanted to date his daughter Alicia. And Jim said to me, "Of course, he must die." It happened. But Danik said, "So Jacob, he took me out to this really fancy dinner." And some of you know this story. In the dining hall. But I tell you, the kid did it right. It was in the dining hall, but you know, he had candles, he had flowers. He would have hired violinists if he could have found them. He really did it right. And then later on, this was now just a few months ago, 6 months ago, 8 months ago maybe, he drove up to Northern Virginia to ask us for Danning's hand in marriage. Without her knowledge, right? Yep. Jacob does it the right way too. In Toastmasters, sometimes they ask you a question like, who do you most admire? I've always said my kids. Always said that. Jay and Danning, I do. I've always admired you guys, and now not just Jay and Danning, but Hallie and Jacob. I really do admire you. In fact, Danning and Jacob, you specifically have taught us that the way to influence the world for Christ is not to be culture warriors, but just to love people, just to love everybody, and let Christ shine through. Just like they do, really. Some people are worried about the future of America, about the future of the world. You know what? I'm not worried. I'm totally not worried. I look at kids like Danning and Jacob and Jay and Hallie and all their friends here, and I think, you know what? America and the world, we're in good hands. So a toast. To Danning, to Jacob, our best wishes for a happy and holy life, to live out your calling as Christians, as a Christian family. And so we wish you salud, l'chaim, slainte, live long and prosper, and cheers.